many texts now, but today. But first one, 161 maybe. Wait, I check. 161. Madhya 24. 161. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More 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 Toma vina ke dayalo jagata sansare. Not slow, fast. You get slower. Toma vina ke dayalo jagata sansare. Toma vina ke dayalo jagata sansare. Patita pavana hetu Tava avatara 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 Mosama patita Prabhu na paibeya Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa bala khana karo ami bhadatu ki Daya koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Daya koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Daya koro Sitapati Advaita Gosai. Tava kripa vale pai Chaitanya Nita. Tava kripa vale pai Chaitanya Nitai. Tava kripa vale pai Chaitanya Nitai. Ha ha Swarup Shanatana Rupa Raghunatha. Ha ha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunatha. Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokana. Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokana. Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokanatha. Bhatta Juga Sri Jivaha Prabhu Lokanatha. Daya koro Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa. Daya koro Daya koro Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa. Daya koro Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa. Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Das. Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Das. Ramachandra Sangamage Narottama Das. Ramachandra Jai Om Vishwapat Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stuttarasha Shrimad Divine Grace Laisi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're gonna read some. We're gonna read a lot, so if you have your phone, it will be nice. Then you can also read. Madhya 24, 161. This chapter has 355 verses, so maybe it's good if we just read a bit. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Sraya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda 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 Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 24, explanations of the Atmarama verse, text 161 onwards. Echa yogi sadhu sangadi hetupana Krishna bhaje Krishna gune akrishta hena Krishna bhaje Krishna gune akrishta hena. So I'm just gonna read a little bit now, and then we can see if there's anything to discuss. Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Translation: when a purified yogi associates with devotees, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service, being attracted by the Lord's transcendental qualities. Cha Shabdya Pirartha Iha no Kahaya Muni Nirgranta Shabdir Purva Vat Arthahaya. The meanings of the words Cha and Api can be applied here. The meanings of the words Muni and Nirgranta are the same as before. Urukrame ahaitukki kahan kona artha e tera artha kahilun paramasamartha. The word ahaitukki is always applicable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Urukrama. Who knows what means Urukrama? What means krama? Krama, karma, krama. Urukrama means the one who performs wonderful activities, Urukrama. In this way, I have described 13 complete meanings of the Atmaram verse. Purport. The 13 meanings of the Atmaram verse mentioned here are based on the following meanings for the word Atmaram. 1. Sadhaka, the neophyte performer. 2. Brahmamaya, one absorbed in the thought of impersonal Brahman. 3. Prapta Brahmalaya, one who has actually attained Brahman perfection. 4. Mumukshu, one who desires liberation. 5. Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated in this life. 6. Prapta Swarup, one who has attained his original constitutional position. 7. Nirgranta Muni, a completely liberated saint. 8. Sagarbha Yoga Rurukshu, a yogi meditating upon the four-handed Vishnu form and desiring yogic perfection. 9. Nigarbha Yoga Rurukshu, one who is trying for perfection in impersonal meditation. 10. Sagarbha Yoga Ruddha, one who has been elevated to the platform of yogic perfection by meditating on the Vishnu form. 11. Nigarbha Yoga Ruddha, an impersonal yogi on the platform of perfection. 12. Sagarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained the perfectional stage by meditating on the Vishnu form. And 13. Nigarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained perfection by practicing impersonal meditation. E Saba Shantayabe Bhaje Bhagavan, Shanta Bhakta Karitabe Kahitandra Nam. These 13 types of yogis and munis are called Shanta Bhaktas, for they render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the neutral stage. Sometimes this question comes, what's a Shanta Bhakta? Because it's kind of difficult to grasp. So here is a very nice explanation of different types of Shanta Bhaktas. 13 different types of Shanta Bhaktas. 165. Atma Shapte Manakaha Mane Jai Rame Sadhu Sange Seha Bhaje Shri Krishna Jarane. The word Atma sometimes means the mind. In this case, the word Atmaram means a person who is satisfied by mental speculation. When such a person associates with a pure devotee, he takes to devotional service at the lotus feet of Krishna. 166. Udaramupasate yari shivartma sukurpa drisha Parissara padatim hridayam arunayodaharam Tata udagadananta tavadama shirapra paramam Punarihayat sametyana patanti kritanta mukhe. Translation: those who follow the path of great saintly mystic yogis take to the yogic gymnastic process and begin worshipping from the abdomen, where it is said that Brahman is located. Such people are called Sharkaraksha, which means that they are situated in the gross bodily conception. There are also followers of the rishi known as Aruna. Following his path, they observe the activities of the arteries. Thus they gradually rise to the heart, where subtle Brahman, Paramatma, is situated. They then worship him, O unlimited Ananta. Better than these persons are the mystic yogis who worship you from the top of their heads, beginning with the abdomen and proceeding through the heart. They reach the top of the head and pass through the Brahma Randra, the hole at the top of the skull. Thus these yogis attain the perfectional platform and do not enter the cycle of birth and death again. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:87-18. The Brahmarandra is this point here, where the hair, where the hair goes out. Wie sagt man schon wieder in Deutsch? The Wirbel, oder? This point here is the Brahmarandra. So often when the school classes come and they ask why we have this haircut, I tell them this is the Brahmarandra. We are activating the Brahmarandra by keeping a sikha. And the soul actually leaves through one of these gates, and if the soul leaves through this gate, there is a picture in the BBT books, a painting now of a yogi who sits, and you can see how his soul is going up here. So, Wirbel. I don't know. There is people who have many. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Then they have some. They have to choose which one they want to go out. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if it's exactly that point, but I think so. Should be. 167. Eho Krishna Guna Krishna Mahamuni Hena Ahaituki Bhakti Kare Nirgranta Hena. Being attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna, such yogis become great saints. At that time, not being hampered by the yogic process, they engage in unalloyed devotional service. Atma Shapte Yatna Kahe Yatna Kariya Munayopi Krishna Bhaje Guna Krishna Hena. Atma also means endeavor. Being attracted by Krishna's transcendental qualities, some saints make a great endeavor to come to the point of rendering service to him. 169. Tasyaiva hetu prayate takovido nalapyate yat pramatam uparyadha talabhyate dukkhavat anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gavira ranghasa. The transcendental position cannot be attained by wandering up and down from Brahmaloka and Satyaloka to Patalaloka. If one is actually intelligent and learned, he should endeavor for that rare transcendental position. By the force of time, one attains whatever material happiness is available within the 14 worlds. Just as one attains distress in due course of time, but since spiritual consciousness is not attained in this way, one should try for it. Purport. This verse was spoken by Narada Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.18. Narada Muni was speaking to Vyasadeva, who was morose even after he had compiled all the Vedic literatures. In this connection, Narada Muni advised Srila Vyasadeva to try to attain devotional service and nothing else. This is actually a very important verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You remember how Vyasadeva, he compiled all the Vedic literatures and then he was feeling morose, and Narada Muni appeared and he told him that even though he was compiling all these Vedic literatures, he didn't compile anything which was completely pure, only speaking about the Supreme Lord and devotional service. And in this connection he speaks this verse where he basically says that you cannot improve your material situation. It's all by the force of time one attains whatever material happiness is available within the 14 worlds. just as one attains distress in due course of time. So that material happiness and distress is coming in any case, and we shouldn't be too much worried about it. But what we should be worried about is our Krishna consciousness, because that's something which has to be cultivated, which we can proactively cultivate. 170. Sattarmasyava bodhaya yesha nirbandini mati achira deva sarvartha siddhyate shamma bhipshita. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who thus have unflinching, undeviated intelligence certainly attain the desired goal of life very soon. This is a quotation from the Naradiya Purana. Cha shabte api arte api avadharane yatna graha vina bhakti na chamaya preme. The word cha may be used in place of api, which gives emphasis to something. Thus it means that without sincere endeavor in devotional service, one cannot attain love of Godhead. Sadhanau ghair anasangair alabhya sujiradapi harina chashad adeyeti tvidha sasyat sudurlabha. Devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. Now we have to listen. This is relevant for us. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection, even if he renders devotional service for a long time. Second, Krishna does not easily deliver perfection in devotional service. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.6.18, Mukting dadati karhichit. Srila Shukadev Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that Krishna readily grants liberation, but does not very readily grant perfection in devotional service. This means that Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that he does not have ulterior motives. If this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. Otherwise, it is very difficult to obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This verse appears in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.35. So the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also quoted by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which again shows that this is a very important verse, and it's also quoted here in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it's relevant for us because it says that what we try to achieve is not easily achieved. And the reason for that is that Krishna is not so easily granting pure devotional service, because if he gives pure devotional service to a living entity, that means he's selling himself, he's giving himself. And he wants to make sure that the person is qualified. And then Prabhupada says, or he cites Shukadev Goswami telling to Maharaj Parikshit that Krishna, he's very happily giving liberation, which is also difficult to attain, but he will give it happily. You can be liberated, but he's not so keen on just giving pure devotional service to anyone. And then he sees that Krishna wants to see that the devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that he does not have ulterior motives. And that means that we have to be prepared in our spiritual life that Krishna, he will test us severely. And he will try to find out if there is anything which we would prefer before him. So he's testing in different ways. He can send you money. He can send you a handsome husband, a beautiful wife. He can give you a big position. He can give you a lot of fame. And he can do that, or he can send you a lot of difficulties in the form of physical pain, or he can defame you. No, he can make something that people, they speak bad about you. And all connected to your devotional service. And this is going to be the test if you actually choose him, or you choose to focus on something else, or you decide that I don't like this physical pain, I don't like that people, they insult me, and therefore I go away from devotional service. And this is it's happening, and it's going to happen to all of us. And if we go and approach these difficulties in the consciousness that now Krishna wants to see, whenever this happens, we can become aware ourselves. Now Krishna wants to see how serious I am in devotional service. Then it becomes very nice. And Prabhupada also says, if this is the case, that somebody doesn't have any ulterior motives, Prabhupada says, if this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. Otherwise, it is very difficult to obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And for a person who is very sincere and only has one motive, to please the Supreme Lord, these difficulties, challenges, allurements actually become stepping stones to make progress. Yes, and that makes devotional life also very adventurous. The more serious someone becomes in devotional life, the more adventure will be there in the form of challenges, difficulties. But if one has the consciousness of how Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said, a spiritual warrior, then it becomes very nice. Then one feels like a warrior, and one can overcome these difficulties. So I'm going to continue reading. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Ich lese einfach ein bisschen, weil es ist so ein langes Kapitel. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is a quotation from the Bhagavad Gita 10.10. For an explanation, see Adi Lila 1.49. In the previous verse it was said how devotional perfection is very difficult, and only when one is fully pure in heart can one attain the perfectional stage of having pure love for Krishna. And I was just saying how there is going to be many, many challenges and many difficulties. And the next verse is basically saying how we shouldn't be afraid of these challenges and difficulties, because it's Krishna himself who will give us the solution how to overcome all these difficulties. And the qualification that he empowers one to overcome such challenges, be they externally or internally. Sometimes actually the internal one may be more interesting. Externally, Jai Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra Mai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaura Ki Jai. So external challenges, yeah, what could be an external challenge? Yeah, maybe some physical conditioning which becomes an obstacle in devotional service. But I think many of us have also this experience that we see an internal obstacle, some anartha, some conditioning which is blocking our devotion to Krishna. It's diverting us. And this also, Krishna will give us the understanding how we can overcome it. How I can overcome my material attachments, my anarthas. He will be dictating from within that now you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And in this way he's guiding us through. We have to do the work ourselves, but he's constantly following us, and if we are devoted to serving him with love, despite all the difficulties, he will always remain with us and always guide us. And therefore, also these challenges are stepping stones, because if we remain faithful and we remain focused on our service, and we might not understand somehow or sometimes how we can now overcome these challenges. If we make this experiment and we see, wow, after maybe some time, wow, I overcame these challenges, and to analyze how Krishna often he did it in some way, he gave us some guidance and he made arrangements. That's why it becomes a stepping stone, because we get faith that Krishna is the ultimate maintainer and protector, and I can fully depend on him, and he will take care of me in every sense, even spiritually. I mean, especially spiritually, he will guide me. I continue reading. 174. Atma Shapte Driti Kahe Dairya Ye Rame Dairyavanta Eva Hena Karaya Bhajane. Another meaning of Atma is Driti, or endurance. A person who endeavors with endurance is Atmaram. With endurance, such a person engages in devotional service. So many meanings of the word Atma. This is another one. Endurance. Next text, 175. Muni Shapte Pakshi Bringa Nirgrante Murka Jana Krishna Kripaya Sadhu Kripaya Donhara Bhajana. The word Muni also means bird and bumblebee. The word Nirgranta refers to foolish people. By the mercy of Krishna, such creatures contact the sadhu, spiritual master, and thus engage in devotional service. Next verse. Prayo Patamba Munayo Vihaga Vanismin Krishna Ikshitam Tat Utetitam Kala Venugitam Aruyaye Druma Bhujan Ruchira Pravalan Shrinvanti Milita Drisho Vigatanya Vaja. Translation: My dear mother, in this forest all the birds, after rising on the beautiful branches of the trees, my dear mother, in this forest, all the birds, after rising on the beautiful branches of the trees, are closing their eyes and, not being attracted by any other sound, are simply listening to the vibration of Krishna's flute. Such birds must be on the same level as great saints. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. This statement was made by the gopis who were lamenting in separation from Krishna and studying how the inhabitants of Vrindavan were enjoying life like saintly persons. I just continue. Ete linastava yasho kila loka tirtam Gayanta adi purushanupatam bhajante Prayo ami munigana bhavadiya mukhya Gudhambanepi najahatya nagatma Daivam. O good fortune personified, O original personality of Godhead, all these bees are chanting about your transcendental fame, which will purify the entire universe. Indeed, they are following your path in the forest and are worshipping you. Actually, they are all saintly persons, but now they have taken the form of bees. Although you are plain like a human being, they could not forget that you are their worshipable deity. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 15.6. Krishna and Balaram were just on the verge of boyhood and were entering the forest of Vrindavan, and Krishna began to offer prayers to please Balaram. Yeah, in the previous and this verse we hear about the birds and the bees, how they, in Vrindavan, they are also devotees of Krishna and they chant his glories. And it reminds of this song of Narottam Das Thakur, where he says, Kolo Kera Premadara Harinama Sankirtan, that this chanting of Krishna's name and also the chanting of Krishna's activities and qualities is actually the treasure of Goloka that's coming from this Goloka Vrindavan to this world. And therefore, this is also the way which will bring us there. In Vrindavan, only a very few fortunate devotees can be with Krishna most of the time. But most of the devotees, they are separated from Krishna. So what they do, they always chant about Krishna's glories. And therefore, that's the mood of Vrindavan. And Vrindavan also has a lot to do with being constantly in anxiety of having separation of Krishna. And by this anxiety, the devotees, they constantly chant about Krishna's activities, about his form, his qualities, his words. And even the birds and the bees, they do that. And so we have to do the same here if we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. If we speak about anything else than Krishna and we go to Vrindavan, oh my God, it's going to be a big problem. Do you have this experience when you see yourself, and then like you speak, and then after some time you realize you're just doing prajalpa? You become aware that you're actually spacing out and you're doing prajalpa. And then often we feel so contaminated. Why am I doing this? It's just degrading my and the other person's consciousness. So, yeah, Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. To constantly chant, and even the bees do that. Next verse. Sarasi sarasahangsa vihangas charugita rita chitta saita harim upasata te yata chitta hantamilita drisho drittamonaha. All the cranes and swans in the water are being enchanted by the melodious song of Krishna's flute. They have approached and are worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full attention. Alas, they are closing their eyes and are becoming completely silent. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:35-11. In the day, Krishna went to the forest of Vrindavan, and at that time the gopis, being morose due to separation from him, were lamenting in this way. Yeah, so what we just said, the gopis, for example, during the day, they don't see Krishna. But what they do, they just speak about him all the time. And they describe what's happening in the forest. And we hear from the descriptions of our acharyas that by the gopis and other devotees doing that, they actually are in the association of Krishna. Because Krishna is absolute, and by speaking and hearing about him, one can immediately transfer the consciousness to him. Absolute means it's no material obstacle that can come in between. So Krishna is spiritual, my consciousness is spiritual, and if the two come, no matter on a material plane what is the distance, there is union, in separation. Let me see which one is a good one to end. Yeah, I read one more and then we can end. Kirata hunandra pulinda pukasha abhira shumbha yavana kashadaya yenye chapapa yadupashraya shraya shudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. Kiratas, hunas, andras, pulindas, pukashas, abhiras, Shumbas, Yavanas, and members of the Kasha races, and even others who are addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18. This verse was spoken by Shukadev Goswami when Parikshit Maharaj asked him for a description of the creation. While offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shukadev Goswami described the unlimited potencies of Lord Vishnu, who can purify the low-born creatures mentioned herein. So we can end with this verse, and this is giving us another hint how, as Srila Prabhupada previously was mentioning, this means that Krishna wants to see that the devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that he does not have ulterior motives. If this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. Prabhupada many times said how devotional service is so simple. And when the question comes up, how can I become perfect in my devotional service, then here is also an answer to that question. simply by remaining in contact with the pure, all the things which are an obstacle in our devotional service, all the impurities, they are cleansed. So simply we have to stick to the devotional service, and in this way we will surely attain perfection. And we should not divert our attention to other things, which can happen very easily. Maybe Adi Purush Prabhu is listening, sometimes he's listening. He comes to my mind now that I was mentioning yesterday to Krishna Prema Prabhu that I'm very inspired by Adi Purush Prabhu because he's a nice example of someone who is you could say, kind of a householder, but I have the feeling that his focus is on devotional service. No, he maintains himself, he's doing some job, but he's not getting distracted by going out and working. And in this way I can see he's very much absorbed in hearing and chanting and the service. Whereas others might get distracted very easily once we step into, we have to take on some duties in the world. We get distracted and we become allured by material nature, by wanting to accumulate more money, by making a career and becoming successful. And this is the danger. And it usually doesn't come in a loud, noisy way, but it comes in it happens you don't notice it. And all of a sudden you're not in the association of devotees, you're not hearing much, you're not chanting a lot or not so nicely, and the service to Srila Prabhupada is also diminishing. And then that's the test. Krishna he will test. So we have to plan our life in a way that we can always remain in the association of the pure. And in this way we will attain perfection for sure. It's just a question of time. So thank you. It's already over time. If you want to leave, feel free to leave. If there is any comments or questions, Krishna Prema Prabhu, maybe you want to add something to the verses. Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday. Grantaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Надо ловить обратно, возвращать тело. ассасин придет?
Он даже специально какой-то тряпки.
Ну, вот это ладно.
А как ее потирать? Просто так все?
Ну, везде надо не все. Я тут.
А, то есть это не надо.
Ну, просто так угодно. Это нахуй. Вот здесь. Пойдем. Там. Да?
Все, уже стал тут раздавать? Что? Кришна, ну и что? Все, хорошо. Такое дело. Ладно, ну молодец, все равно, да, видите, не стал. Чайно все. Закончилось. Твердо? Ну давай.
Надо все надо провести и промыть. Еще никто ничего не мел.
Быстро нести, Кришна.
Подожди. Что подожди.
Чего?
Я себе говорю, подожди. Куда ты идешь, подожди.
Я с щетками тут быстрее, чем языком.
Там, подожди, да.
Конечно. Уже сидели. Старшие преданные. Из них уже песок сидит. А оно ж понятно, откуда берется, ну ладно. Листья с молодежи падают, потому что зелень пузатая.
Так, сына, так не ты, сына. Это все фонарик. Дай сюда. Фонарик. Дай. Сюда иди. Вот так.
Не, вы просто не забывайте, дорогие мои, что завтра в 8:45.
Оно все. Не, подожди, я слушай меня, что ты это сам? Да. Ты ж метешь, разметаешь. Ты берешь вот завтра, если он пропустил, ты можешь смести, понимаешь? Зачем вот этот чмал? Оно все остается. Просто ты берешь, когда бачишь, там стоит, раз, потом не пропустишь.
Тут так раз такие, спасибо, конечно, что вы допускаете такие моменты, но это не наш случай. Если бы вы мне сказали, что Макар моет и что-то пропустит, я бы не поверил бы даже близко.
Не, ну он бы даже потом, если смысл ему тут
Это уровень концентрации. Заместитель Господа Бравы, понимаете, правая рука, короче. Вот, смысл в том, чтобы не было бессмыслицы. В этом величайший смысл имеется.
уже был ниже. Я там уже сумлю.
Ну, сейчас я смотрю.
Не, сейчас твоя задача. Четвериться собрать, вот это смотреть, тебе это собрать, и потом снова все собрать и прийти, чтобы было пустить. Не, сейчас взять уже, да, пусти. Да, выйди.
Видишь? Ну, конечно. Ну и без
Не
книги.
пусти никакого. Это вообще не
Без книги это смарт.